Hello, and welcome to the 3RPG Podcast, a podcast where we talk about RPG games and other stuff. My name's Jay Underwood.
And I'm Chris.
And I'm Sandra Rosner.
An interesting thing you were talking about earlier, that you held a story back, Chris.
Oh yes, we held a story back. So, last night...
We're we now?
Oh, the royal we.
Yeah, the royal we.
This is a regal story.
Yeah, it's like the Queen of England playing like Nintendo Tennis.
Don't knock it till you've tried it.
Right, the royal we. You know, it's like it's gathering dust.
Boo. Boo. I only got that now. Boo.
I can see her there. Okay. The little avatar. The avatar's got like a little crown on it, you know?
Wow. Princess Peach already has a crown that she wears everywhere, right? I went to see the Mononoke Hime in 4K last night.
Oh.
Right?
I heard that was amazing.
Or, sorry.
Princess Mononoke.
Wait. Is it Princess Mononoke? No, it's not in 4K. It's in IMAX.
IMAX, yeah.
Right? Not even better than 4K, I imagine.
Better. It's like 5K instead.
Significantly better than 4K.
You saw it in like 4D, and like they sprayed all like animal smells at you and stuff.
Oh God! Never signed up for that.
They threw like hay at you. It's like, what's going on?
I went to one of those once.
Yeah, they're the worst.
Yeah, the spraying thing, I'm not a huge fan of. And it really didn't make sense in the
good reason.
the movie. It really didn't make sense. I think it was like was it Solo? I saw like Solo, the Han Solo movie or something in 4D or whatever.
So like a sweaty Chewbacca.
Yeah, sweaty leather smell.
They sprayed the room with Chewbacca musk.
Yeah.
But,
oh God.
But anyways, yes, I saw Princess Mononoke or Mononoke Hime in IMAX.
Whatever
And
D.
I was thinking though, it's probably the highest quality Mononoke Hime that has ever been released, though, right? Because the theaters are bigger than they were back in 1997.
Oh
right?
My God, that's so long ago.
The sound systems are better as well, right? So it's probably the highest experience that there has been for this movie. But my main takeaway from this is, man, what a great movie! It's that
was a long
lead up. Yep, still holds up.
No, I was so much more invested watching it this time than I've ever been.
Yeah.
Like, I started to notice more about, like, I cared more about the politics that were in the movie.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know, the factions, all the different factions fighting each other. Like, and, it's so beautiful. It's maybe a perfect movie. I don't know. I think it is the only thing I am not a huge fan of is like the CG plants growing at the end. I think they should have animated those. But other than that, though, and I don't know if that's enough to take away a point. Just that one scene, but
spoilers.
Oh, great movie.
Yeah, it is very good. Great
and
soundtrack
then,
as well. Yeah.
Oh,
and then you got to fight with somebody who was eating popcorn.
No.
That wasn't a ballet.
there was someone behind me that was eating something out of a like chips again, right? The chip wrapper. They shouldn't have brought it in. Oh yeah, and always at the quietest moments, and you're just like, I'm gonna strangle you.
It's like you're watching like Schindler's List. He's like, I could have saved one more. Crunch, crunch, crunch.
Yeah, right. Exactly, right. You're just like, come on, man, come on.
God.
So we were supposed to play some street hockey last weekend, but
that's a segue.
Did
you play it on segways?
No, Segway street hockey. Like,
that'd be badass or really dorky.
Yeah,
or both.
On a Segway,
really
like
dorky.
A hockey stick is like you're slaying dragons in the future or whatever.
Yeah, but in the mall.
In the mall, yes. And we have like the old like these the goal Oh, Jesus Christ! I was about to say the goal rinks. I was like, use your words. Use your
You
words.
know who the narc is here.
The goal. I guess it's just called a goal, right?
Yeah,
you know,
the goal.
goal.
The goal.
Other
Yeah.
other sport.
Which is made from like this like synthetic plastic polymer or whatever.
Like PVC pipe.
Yeah, exactly. Which is the segue into our topic today.
Plastic.
What? Oh,
PVC.
I mean, no,
PVP.
PvP.
Oh,
PvP.
PvP.
Oh, I
Yeah.
don't know if I approve of this one.
Polyvinyl.
Polyvinyl people.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, yes.
I'm gonna fight you both, I think, by the end of this episode.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, there we go. It wasn't as
We got there.
a long walk, but we got there.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
So PvP, should it be allowed at your table? Should you avoid it at all costs? What do you guys think? Yes, no, maybe, so. Round the corner fudge is made.
No!
No.
Especially not during street hockey.
I'm sorry.
Battle can make you do that.
I don't know where that came from. I think it was like I was reading Mad Magazine just a few hours ago.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
So like 80s humor, it's like sort of flooded back into my mind.
Didn't expect that when you tuned in today, did you?
Yeah. All right. So PvP, yes. So Sandra, you say yes.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried to kill party members before, so yeah, I have to say yes.
Yes.
I'm curious where
I also say
yeah.
Oh, Chris says yes.
You might go on another way with this one. You're saying yeah.
I'm assuming because you allowed at your table, Jay, that you're also gonna say yes.
100%. Yeah. But there are caveats to having PvP, which I think will generate our conversation for today, right? Who wants to start us off here?
I can.
Go ahead.
All right. I believe that this kind of delves into the broader topic of gaming maturity, right? But like when people first start out, right, and they're excited about their first character, they'll often place like a piece of themselves into them, right?
Yeah.
And because they're nervous, they're unsure, and so by playing like something along their tastes, it seems like a very good safe choice, right? Even as DMs, sometimes we will ask a new player who's kind of caught in the headlights of creating a character. Like, think of someone you like from a TV show or a movie,
And then kill them.
Yeah. Or you like Aang from like The Last Airbender, right? And so your character's like that, right? And it's a really good jumping off point. Now, when those characters are like hurt or dying or things like that, that piece of themselves is often challenged, and it really doesn't feel that good, right? But on top of that, a lot of people, when they're coming into this for the first time, they have kind of a board game mentality, right? And so, like, if my character dies, I lose type of feeling, right?
Mhm.
And I guess one of the jobs as a DM is to make sure that there is like a net positive experience that outweighs the negative so that the player will return to that table. And I think as the number of campaigns, characters, and stories and good times begin to add up, they become more experienced. And they start to play for themselves and the story, other than just for themselves. And some will find ways to, dramatically end or retire their characters, or they can see past them. They can just see the bigger picture, right? So I think it depends on the maturity of the player. Like, if you're starting out, I would not suggest outright PvP, right?
Are you advocating that, like, with PvP at a table, the opportunities for, like, certain players to, get their feelings hurt because another player attacks them and then, like, wins that fight, and then that kind of, like, bleeds across to, like, rather than character conflict, like, player-to-player conflict, right?
And you want to try to avoid those kind of bad experiences, especially early in your career, right?
Yeah.
Or in their career as a tabletop RPGing as a hobby, right?
Well, I suppose what we're really advocating for here is like CvC, not PvP, right? Come to mention it. So you
Yeah,
want
that's
the
an important distinction. Yeah.
right? You want the characters to be like fighting each other in the game, which can be fun, and not the players to be fighting the other players, right? I mean, we just say
Yep,
people just say
definitely.
PvP, but like what we really want is like the characters to come into conflict with each other. But yeah, for again, emotional maturity is certainly one of them is a requirement, and for first time players, having a situation where the thief character stealing everyone's good stuff and just kind of gets in the way of the adventure, and just leave it alone, just nip it in the bud early on, and play an adventure where the group's all friendly with each other and they're fighting the big bad or whatever, and then that's easy. You don't have to deal with all this other stuff.
that's the way I see it. It all depends on the emotional maturity of the group themselves, and the more games that you have, the more likely they will be able to. When you can trust the players with it, then you don't need to worry about it as a DM as much.
Sandra, what do you think?
I definitely think that PvP is a much taller hill to climb for the novice player, and Chris definitely touched on a lot of that. Where, um, if you get really emotionally invested in a character, which I feel like can very readily happen once you're really enjoying this as a new hobby and things like that, and you get deep into the story and like get kind of wrapped up into like the magic that is TTRPG. I know some of my early characters, it hit like a hammer when they died. Like there's a legit grief response that happens if you've played that character for more than 10 sessions and you had plans and ideas and suddenly they die. Now, if they die to somebody in the party, though, that's a whole nother level. And I feel like it's now become more of a story element or an interest or a potential to do something else within this greater story should that happen now. But I think as a really early player, um, if somebody at the table like off to me just for like dramatic purpose without me understanding, without there being a specific buy-in,
Yeah.
it would be hard not to let that bleed over to the instead of CvC into PvP. I would wonder why the hell they did that to me. So this might be something I see as a session zero. This might be something as something that if your table specifically allows PvP and you're bringing in a new player and you've got other because I feel like I've been in enough situations where there's a very big mix of experience levels. So some extra protection probably needs to happen there for a new player coming into an experienced table where PvP is specifically allowed or even expected.
Well, we need to distinguish that PvP doesn't necessarily mean like characters having combat to the death every time.
True.
So
Yep.
death is
True.
not always the end goal, but it's having characters having a disagreement into like which way they want to go, how they're going to handle a situation diplomatically or by force or whatever, and having that kind of discussion where they have a roll off or they have to pit two skills up against one another. So there's like definitely degrees of which PvP happens at the table. The thing that we want to avoid is like you just say, Sandra, is situations which can lead from one player's character killing another player's character, which can lead to sort of coitus interruptus or whatever. a story kind of like ending too abruptly. You know what I mean? A session of or got my own way there. Situations in which two characters, it comes to a point where the players feel like, well, why would my character even stay with this character? They hate each other so much that they're just going to walk away, right? Because we disagree so much that there's no point in being together as a cohesive unit, and that's a tough one to handle. We've talked about it in previous episodes, how you could do that in splitting the party and when to kind of just roll up new characters. And I think that should be allowed in it, but it's for a different topic completely. But.
No, you do like, pulling back from the obvious character death moment, which, it can have some repercussions for interpersonal and intercharacter, dynamics at your table. But I'm actually more worried about the interactions that could turn into like a sense of bullying. especially if your players don't really know each other really well. And I hate for this to always sound like it falls on the GM, because I don't think it does. So I'd love to hear from the two of you, like, what can a player do if they're feeling like they're being a bit bullied at the table, or like some like there's story elements where it's clear that, you know, the law-abiding paladin's going to pick on the law-breaking rogue, right? But when it goes beyond that, what can a player do if they don't want to just necessarily just kind of start a little bit of like a shit fest in the group?
Well, a lot of it, you know, like when you're in that kind of situation, it really does come to like private messaging, maybe your DM about that. Like if you're being bullied, you need to let someone know. You can't just like let it happen. That's not the right way of going. Um, yeah, I would be worried about like making a scene of it. But certainly, like if there's a break coming up, you know, just please talk to your DM off to the side. Jay, do you have any other things you want to add to that?
Well, we mentioned that, you know, if you're going to have PvP like ticked on for that session or the campaign or whatever, this is like
War
allowed.
mode on.
War mode on, yeah, torment level 4 or whatever. Like you've reached a certain tier of gaming, and you talk about that in session 0. Well, it's not always possible to get it then. I think sometimes, like, as the story progresses, and you know, people who draw characters oftentimes don't feel who their character is until like the 3rd session anyway. And as their characters change throughout the story, PvP might become a thing. And as that moment comes, you just have that quick moment, like over the table, where it's like, do we want to go down this route? And you just kind of give that little look of like when you're having a conversation with just in people in public, and you know the conversation turns to politics or whatever, and you just kind of give that, kind of give a look where like, are we going to go here? And then if it seems you do, then you kind of you know, go you know, baby toes first or whatever. You know.
Huh? I don't
Baby
baby
toes
toes first.
Yeah, like you have pinky toes. Like you go, like you test the water.
The zombie.
Like how do you when you walk into a pool or whatever?
Okay. I say I thought that was like a fighting term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start with your baby toes first.
Yeah, get two newborns and and hold them up to each other and just let them flail about for a little while. First baby to die loses.
Gotta toughen them up.
Well, to answer the question, I'm basically saying that it's sort of a non-verbal thing. You just kind of give a look, like, are we going for this? Or like, PvP cool? Like, you guys want to like have a little character moment to get like to see, want to have a roll off? You almost just ask the question. Like, you guys want to roll versus each other? And then they go like, yeah, no. And then sometimes, perhaps most of the time, one character will just kind of like back off, and they were just getting maybe into the moment and role playing the moment out, and then they say, "Oh no, actually he would win in the end. I'm just kind of like exploring this, like the theatrical nature of the scene or something like that, right?" And in the end, like I don't want to roll off because it doesn't seem like my character should win the moment, right? And we're sort of like framing the conversation using kind of games that have like D20 systems, where as like other like drama systems have a situation in which like you have a kind of a series of coins or bennies in your stats, and you spend them to win the arguments, but then you have less of them for the rest of the session, right? So that's an easy way to do it, right?
That's one way of doing it as well. Yeah. I think a big word here, especially for PvP, is consent. As long as both sides are willing to agree to this PvP, I would hate that one guy attacks the other player and then he's like, "You're fighting," and you're like, I didn't want this, right?"
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well, I think in those situations, though, with at least somebody at the intermediate level and above, like those fights can happen, and you can stay in character and carry that out.
Yep.
Like, so I that's why I feel like PvP is largely great, a great option for the table. But it's like somewhere along your path of taking up RPG, you have to have that division. It's like who you are as a person is now in the background, and who you are as a character comes forward. And that's also kind of consent, where everybody at the table understands that same thing.
Yeah.
And that's where I think those like small private conversations really should come into play, because I rarely see it with established groups. Like everyone just knows each other. They know
Yeah.
that nobody's going to harm each other there. You all care about each other. It's these newer, like where a new person enters the dynamic, at a con game, at a whatever, anything that's like at your local game store. That's when I see the majority's kind of conflicts pop up. So if we talked about this, I believe, last episode, where you're talking about like actually putting on for a local game or whatnot. How, if you were going to allow PvP, how would you try to set the stage for that to go off well and not have somebody like bully another stranger?
So yeah, I think the easiest way to do it is sort of know what people are getting into when they sit down at the table, right? If you're playing a game that you got your minis out and you got the set dressing with the map and the dungeon, it's a dungeon crawl and all that stuff, then just leave PvP out of it completely. Just have them go in there, kill some monsters, roll some dice, cast some spells, kill the big dragon, whatever, walk away with some loot. Great time for everybody, right? But if you want to play a game where you're sort of like Cold War spies, espionage, all this kind of stuff, and you're hunting down clues, and it's a more investigative, conversational, and RP heavy game rather than a sort of like maybe like a more tactical game, then leave it in. So it's almost like it's partly cooked into the setting, like a little bit, I think. So if you're just want to do the like, okay, here who's the fighter, who's the wizard, who's the rogue, who's the cleric, leave it out.
So if I understand it, you're saying like basically lean into the genre rules. Like if you're playing a Cthulhu like public game, you're expecting people to go insane and die, so there's not going to be any built-in like offense. But if it's very strictly like we're here to just like have a feel good RP fantasy, then just leave it out.
I echo exactly what Jay just says. I for a con game, I likely wouldn't throw a lot of PvP in there because there's not enough time. You have like you only have like a couple hours to do a whole adventure, unless if it's an integral part of it and all the players are in on that there's going to be battling against each other. They know that beforehand. Sure, okay, you can do it, but generally speaking, I wouldn't plan for something like that.
Chris, you echo exactly what I say. Here, Chris, echo exactly what I say. Rubber baby buggy bumper.
Forget it.
No,
I don't echo what you say.
no.
In fact, I'm gonna go the opposite direction.
No.
PvP and you're I'm just joking.
Chris is gonna kick your ass.
So much for yes.
Now
so
we're getting
much
aggressive.
for yes ending. Yeah. Now we're getting to pod PvP podcast host versus podcast host. All right, well, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back to talk about maybe some of the how to effectively put PvP/CvC into your game. This episode of the 3RPG podcast is brought to you by.
There we were, the den of a slain magenta dragon. Hills of gold, jewels, relics, and jade. We filled every pocket, bag, and hand, yet we could only carry a small fraction of what we deserved. Yet there is an emptiness in our loot bags that could never be filled. But since that day, our fellowship only trusts UHoard. UHoard is a private wealth collecting service trusted by adventurers for the past 15 years. Their professionals are experienced, discreet, and will sweat to bring your hard-earned gold back to you. Save time, stress, and precious currency used better for your next grand adventure. They also offer long-distance protection and appraisal services. So if you would rather spend the next 8 days sweeping up every last coin and object of value, throwing it in a wagon, not built for heavy-duty transport and visible to all bandits to see, then lugging it home in the rain, well then be our guest. Or you could give us a visit and let us do all the heavy lifting. UHoard, you slew the dragon, we bring the wagon. Book your assessment now.
1995 in town.
Visit us at our website, www.youwhored.com.
Is that I spelled UHoard.
Leave off the last W for savings.
Oh
Oh my god, nothing's gonna beat you, Hoard.
Yeah, bye monetization. And we're talking about PvP. And so why don't we just maybe regale some stories of like excellent moments of PvP as they have occurred in game sessions, or some ideas that listeners might be able to sort of implement into like how to like maybe there's some creative ways in which you can kind of use on PvP that's not just players fighting each other and rolling initiative and all that kind of stuff. Like how can this be used like effectively in a game session?
I mean, I feel like I've already told my story in previous episodes about where we got put in this like impossible position of like, do I let one of my fellow characters go back to his kingdom and then send an army after me because I became a traitor, or do I shoot him in the back? And I voted to shoot him in the back. But the other player at the table was like, no, we don't do that. And I'm like, we don't? He's like, no, we don't do that. And I'm like, I guess not. And then the moment passed. He was too far out of range. And he did, in fact, send an army after us. So I was kind of right. But in the end, with the way the story went, the other player was right. Because we needed him. We needed him to defeat the big bad. So in our case, it's probably like the best possible PvP where it created a far better story than like what we would have had if we had just all went along with. And I think that's kind of a really important point here is, and we talked about like splitting the party in a previous episode, but that's kind of where these scenarios can often come up. Just going along with the flow, like going with the flow, like somebody votes, no, I want to do, X. And you want to do Y. Your character would be doing Y. But you go with X for party cohesion. I don't think that serves you as the player. I don't think it serves your table or the story. I think you should just go with it. And I think that's the seed of PvP or CvC, however we want to put it, is just disagreement. Like, have disagreement in the very least when your character would do something completely different than the rest of the party's doing.
Moments that could like something like after the Fellowship gets out of Moria and Boromir's kind of saying, well, let them grieve for heaven's sake, and Strider's like, no, the orcs will be running amok through these mountains by nightfall. We have to keep moving, and there's like a little mild disagreement there. Yeah, so that kind of stuff could be fun. I wanted to add that things that they should be added. It could be sort of what seem on the surface seem frivolous, but can lead to really great game moments. Would be PvP wherein two characters have a dance competition or something like that, or a sing off, and like they can do opposed performance
poetry
checks.
slam.
I love those sorts of things.
Right? Whoever rolled the higher performance roll kind of wins, and then this could be a moment for sort of the grumpy, two-word curmudgeon barbarian to like by an amazing roll actually beat the bard at like the loot contest or something like that. And that could be a real funny moment, and I think it'll be also a very memorable moment too. So yeah, definitely using those sort of maybe oft underutilized skills down there, those charisma skills to do some PvP is the way forward for sure.
I do like when like two players will like, we're both good at climbing, let's see who can climb up faster, right? That kind of thing. And then they keep tabs on that, and then they kind of race each other the next time, and yeah, those kind of like almost like Legolas Gimli things, right? Where
counting how many orcs they've killed during the battle or something like that. That still only counts as one.
Now, how much conflict do you guys like? Is there like a preferred way to create this kind of conflict with your players, or does it just naturally kind of happen? because like I feel like I know some of Jay's methods, but I'm kind of like really curious to see like, you know, we make fun of Chris for being for doing a nicer game, I think, than
Yeah,
we.
no, mine is definitely nicer. Mine is definitely nicer. Because the thing is, though, I have a very different set of like rotating players, right? And a
Mhm.
lot of them are fairly new to the hobby, so I can't really go too deep into that until they're a little bit more seasoned, right?
Mhm.
So,
Absolutely.
because it sounds like your group has been fairly well established for a while, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And all the players, like, so I guess one of the questions for me though is how often, Jay, do you build that into the narrative? Is that a common occurrence?
I don't think I ever build it. Like I'll never design a scene that tries to get two characters like at each other's throats, but I'll definitely create situations in which there are difficult decisions to be made, where characters may have different opinions on the matter, and then that's like kind of fertile soil for RP, and then that would kind of maybe inadvertently lead to PvP situation. Um, what I also have on my character sheet is similar to some rules from Pendragon, which is the PvP is oftentimes characters at odds with themselves, and
Mm.
so the player has to roll how they are going to believe or how far they're going to go in this situation, right? Like how you started off our conversation today, Chris. It's like players might get a bit sad if their characters die on that one session of D&D that they've ever played in their life, and then they never come back again because
Mm,
the
yep.
proxy of myself just got killed. So obviously, what does that mean, right? Um, but in this case, you can have them. So there's an element of self-preservation in characters, whereas sometimes in the fantasy world you would present a situation wherein the character, you've given them an opportunity they can't refuse, or whatever, give an offer they can't refuse, like peanut butter for a dog or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm so glad my dog left the room.
Yeah. Right, and like so but like the situation is like if you go in there, your paladin is gonna get mauled by all the wraiths because they're too high level, but you have the situation where they're like, but I need to smite them, and what do you do? And like that kind of fun, in a sense, like player versus player, well, player versus self a little bit is in a sense a little bit of a PvP moment, I think.
Yep. Yeah. Often I do will saves for those kind of things, right? Like how strong their will or their mind is, I guess, towards a certain ideal or a certain goal.
The system that we use has something in which the players, if they're always willing to sort of make a decision based on their character in that moment, but if they ever feel conflicted, then they can make a roll which sort of forces their hand.
Yeah.
And then it says, okay, now you must do this, and then depending on which way the roll kind of forces them to do or not to do, then that percentile roll will shift for the next time. Like they'll lose faith because they didn't protect someone in this religious situation or what have you. Yeah, so that could be a fun way. It's also a way that players can kind of have kind of verbal sparring matches back and forth without having to just default to like a diplomacy roll or something like that.
Mhm.
They could sort of get benefits based on the degree to which they believe a thing, um, which goes into like core charisma statistic and stuff like that, which I just call social in my game. But anyhow,
No, I think you referenced something really important there, Jay, about the fact that if you do find that your character has moved to a position where they're going to be opposing someone on their team, the team that they're supposed to rely on, that they're supposed to be their closest allies, like something has to fundamentally change in how you're playing that character after the fact. Like something has broken within those dynamics, and whether it's the people in your party or you that have changed to create this conflict, you're gonna have to adjust as well to having had that conflict. Like if you had just a disagreement, no problem. We all have like friendships weather that, right? So our characters should weather that. But if you've actually like drawn blades on a party member, like like as we call it ontics, that has to have an impact going forward. Like you
Mhm.
either need to not feel safe in that traveling party for a while until something changes again, or like, yeah. I feel like that's something that's missed often, that you go back to business as usual after an encounter, and I feel like that's a missed opportunity to have a deeper story.
The adjustment can be made by the GM when that is happening in the story by adding narrative elements to the moment that, in a way, can support both characters' position in the matter. The character who drew the sword first, you amended by saying they did this because of this, and dwarven tradition insists that he draw his axe at this point and stuff like that. And you kind of set these things up in such a way that then kind of like justifies the action for both sides, and then but also gives them maybe a way to also de-escalate the situation in the game.
But that player in that hypothetical who just had a dwarf pull an axe on them because it's their tradition should damn well know in the future not to do that same thing to other dwarves. And I feel like there should be greater consequences for having known and done the thing a second time.
Yeah. Yep. There's also smaller conventions that could be used, which may seem a little bit cheesy, but like you let the combat kind of play out, and then it's as if the camera kind of pans back, but that's all just kind of like happening in the player's imagination as he's like looking, like the dwarf looking over at the bard who isn't shutting the fuck up.
And it was all a daydream.
And it's like, I just want to cut his. He just imagines cutting his head off, and then he's just there smiling at him like,
Oh god, that would be a wonderful moment. Oh my god,
a fun little moment aside, yeah. So like rewinding and all that kind of stuff is also totally a thing, right? Why not? You can do what you want.
As a player, if you feel a rift developing, I think a neat little thing you could do is have your character take a close ally or friend, like into another room, and just tell them that I believe that this is, we're doing the wrong thing here, right? And see how that plays out as kind of like a role play. I think that could be a really neat scene, and also prep should any divide happen within your group. Everybody will kind of know that this could potentially happen.
I have another suggestion. If you feel a rift developing in your group, fart. just fart at the time. Like let one.
Oh my god!
Let one rip.
Is that why you did it last week, Joe?
They're always hilarious. They're always hilarious, and like derail the moment like so much.
Why are farts so funny? Like
that is odd. That is odd that they are so comical.
They're so comical, yeah. I love a mashup of like political leaders. like the Pope or whatever, like just and then like with his vestments, he's just like
no. This is I didn't sign on for sacrilegious tonight. Oh god,
we will not let you take over our country.
Yeah,
it's just like,
you mean sacrilegious?
No, I said it specifically. Deliciously sacrilegious.
Sacrilegious. This episode brought to you by Sacrilegious.
That's so good. It's sacrilegious.
That's next week.
Yeah. They're like the communion wafers, but some of them have like mint on the inside.
Delightful.
I think that might be sacrilegious.
Sacrilegious. I got strawberry. The church is really trying to bring in new blood. Letters I've written.
That's delightful.
I remember the first time I heard it. I thought it was just like literally like medieval knights, like
In satin dresses.
in white satin dresses.
Oh my god.
Knights in white satin.
Bless your innocent little heart. Like,
Yeah,
what were
yeah.
you, like maybe 5? Because I don't think you're innocent after that.
Yeah, I think I remember. I remember asking my aunt after like listening to like the MC Hammer album, what's a super dope homeboy from the
Now, did your aunt know? Was she so fly she knew?
My God. I would have loved to have been there.
My God.
Yeah. Anyway, letters.
We got letters. All right, we got a letter for you guys, appropriate for our interpersonal PvP whatnot. Today we're hearing from someone signed simply as Elf Sorcerer. Apparently she asked her GM if she could wear a cosplay, more immersion, better vibes around the table. I guess they meet in person. But now their druid wants to show up like in the buff. I mean, I'm assuming underwear, loincloth. They didn't really specify, but he wants to go as all natural as possible, claiming that's his cosplay. What do you suggest?
If it makes everyone uncomfortable, then no way. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to at least wear like a a tight fitting shirt or something. But simply,
hey, if you got that kind of group and that kind of table, and like you play D&D or whatever board games you play, strip poker, whatever before the orgy, then go for it, man. That could be super fun. Like have everyone just wearing antlers by the end of it and have like an eyes wide shut session.
You know what? I think you're onto something here. Like, why not just have like an encounter in a tavern that is literally he winds up being down to that. And then, he's got to go find clothes, Yeah,
but let us say that 95% of the groups aren't going to have that. Yeah, so being naked at the table would be pretty uncomfortable. At least put a towel down on the chair or something like that.
Oh, that's gross. Now, have you guys ever had anybody like do cosplay, costume, any kind of extra accoutrement?
I think for elf sorcerers here, I'd say the first part was awesome. I'm totally for that. Like wearing costumes at the table is the coolest thing ever.
Yep.
It's the quickest way to get right into character. And
I love it.
I love one person is doing it. It doesn't matter. Don't be self-conscious about it. You do you, right? We talked about props in a previous episode, but bringing some things to that will change your manners a little bit. Costumes is the quickest way to do it.
Yeah.
We wear costumes playing board games from time to time.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah.
So yeah, do it. The nakedness comes into the content of the game once again, or the content of the evening.
So party consent, maybe stay on theme if possible, use a towel if not.
All right, that'll be today's episode of the 3RPG podcast. See you listeners next week.
No shirt, no shoes, no service.
Have a great week.
Bye.
The 3RPG podcast is produced and performed by Sandra Rosner, Chris Takasaki, and Jay Underwood. Music and audio editing, mix, and master is done by Jay Underwood, art by Chris Takasaki. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or have any questions, please email us at 3rpgpodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to support the 3RPG podcast, please visit our Patreon or visit our website at www.3rpg.com. That is THREERPG.com.